Hello, everyone. This is a story for anyone who has ever been loved conditionally, for anyone who has ever been more of an ATM than a daughter. It's about the quiet unraveling of a lie called family and the loud, necessary birth of a boundary. If you've ever had to change the locks on your life just to feel safe, this is for you. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Let me know I'm not alone in this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's 2 a.m. here, the city is asleep, but some truths only come out in the dark. Let's begin. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. No one came to my graduation. The chair reserved for my parents, a little metal folding thing on the manicured lawn of the university quad, sat empty, a gaping mouth of disappointment in a sea of beaming faces. When they called my name, Juliet Eleanor Vance, Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering, the silence that belonged to me was so loud it swallowed the polite applause. I walked across the stage, my heels sinking into the soft grass, the parchment tube of my diploma slick in my sweating palm. I smiled for the official photographer, a rictus grin that felt like it might crack my face. The sun was merciless, bouncing off the silver threads in my robe, turning the ceremony into a glittering, joyous hell I was locked out of. 3 days later, the text came. Not a "how are you, sweetheart," or "we're so proud," but a line of characters that felt like a physical blow. Need $2,500 for your brother Liam Sr. trip to Costa Rica. Flight deposits due today. No preamble. No acknowledgement of the milestone I'd crossed utterly alone. Just a demand, clear and cold as a wire transfer. I stared at the screen until the letters bled together. In the quiet of my studio apartment, with my cap still tossed on the kitchen counter like a forgotten party favor, something finally broke. Not with a shatter, but with a soft, definitive snap, like a bone realigning after being broken for years. I opened my banking app. My savings, scraped together from tutoring gigs and lab assistant work, stared back. $3,872.16. I typed $1, and in the memo line I wrote, "For your trip. Congrats, Liam." I hit send. Then I got up, walked to the front door, and removed the spare key from under the ceramic frog my mother had insisted I keep there, just in case. I held it in my palm, this tiny piece of metal that represented a lifetime of unlocked access to me, and I dropped it into the garbage disposal. I turned it on. The metallic screech was the most satisfying sound I'd ever heard. For the first time, my apartment was truly mine. The silence wasn't lonely, it was spacious. It was mine. I breathed it in, the scent of old books and my jasmine tea, and felt a peace so profound it brought tears to my eyes. It lasted 36 hours. The knock came on the second evening, firm, authoritative, a rhythm that brooked no argument. It wasn't the friendly tap of my neighbor. Through the peephole, the distorted view showed two figures in the stark blue of the Seattle Police Department. My heart didn't race, it plummeted, a cold stone in my gut. I opened the door. Juliet Vance? The officer was a woman, her face etched with a professional calm that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, we received a call from your mother, Cynthia Vance. She expressed significant concern for your welfare. Said you've been acting erratically, cutting off contact, changing locks. She's worried you might be a danger to yourself." A laugh bubbled in my throat, bitter and sharp. It wasn't funny. It was a masterpiece. "She called you," I said, my voice flat. "We're required to do a welfare check. Mind if we come in?" I stepped back. Let them see. Let them see the clean, ordered space. My diploma, already framed, hung above my desk. My laptop was open to a peer-reviewed journal article. A half-finished cup of chamomile tea steamed gently beside it. "Do I look like I'm in crisis, officer?" The female officer's partner, a younger man with kind eyes, scanned the room. His gaze lingered on the diploma, then on my face. "No, ma'am, you don't." He asked the required questions. "Are you having thoughts of harming yourself? Are you under a doctor's care? Is there someone you can talk to? I answered each one with a calm that seemed to unnerve them more than hysterics would have. I'm fine, I said, finally. I've just set a boundary. Apparently, that's a diagnosable condition in my family. They left with a report filed as unfounded. As the door closed, the female officer turned back. Miss Vance? Sometimes, when you start saying no, people who are used to yes will try the loudest things to get back to the way things were. It doesn't mean you're wrong. Her words were a small, unexpected raft in a sea of fury. I leaned against the closed door, shaking. This wasn't just crossing a line. My mother had called in an airstrike on the line itself. The quiet in my apartment that night was different. It was charged, waiting. I sat on my worn velvet sofa, the blue light of my laptop casting long shadows. I wasn't waiting to get struck anymore. I was learning to read the weather patterns. And the first drop of the coming storm landed in my email inbox the next morning. A notification from a credit monitoring service I'd set up years ago after my mom had accidentally opened a store card in my name to get a 20% discount on a patio set. New credit inquiry, Pacific Crest Bank. My blood ran cold. I hadn't applied for anything. I logged into the main credit bureau site, my fingers clumsy on the keys. There it was. A new line of credit. Opened 2 weeks prior. A $10,000 limit. Already carrying a balance of $8,742. The address listed wasn't mine. It was my parents' house in Bellevue. The account holder? Juliet E. Vance. Cosigner, Cynthia T. Vance. The transactions were a brutal ledger of betrayal. Island Air Charters. Villa Sol, Costa Rica. Adventure Divers, Tamarindo. Liam's senior trip. My vision tunneled. I clicked through a methodical autopsy of my own financial identity. She hadn't just asked for money. She had become me to take it. She had sat across from some bank officer with my social security number memorized from 1,000 childhood forms, and she had signed my name. The forgery was probably good. She'd been signing my name on school permission slips and doctor's forms for years. I felt a strange detachment. The grief was there, a vast, frozen tundra inside me, but on its surface, my mind was clear, sharp as a scalpel. I picked up my phone. In Washington state, one-party consent meant the law was, for once, on my side. I opened a voice recording app, hit record, and dialed her number. She answered on the 4th ring. Juliet. Finally. I've been worried sick. Her voice was a perfect blend of maternal concern and subtle reproach. Hello, Mother. The word tasted like ash. I'm looking at something interesting. A Pacific Crest Bank credit card, $8,742 spent on what looks like Liam's trip. Opened in my name. At your address. The pause on the other end was a vacuum. Then a light, tinkling laugh. Oh, that. Honey, don't be dramatic. I was helping you build your credit. You know how important that is. And we needed to book things for your brother. It's a family investment. You'll thank me later. You forged my signature. Don't use that word. It's so ugly. We're family. What's yours is ours, you know that. No, I said, my voice so quiet I barely recognized it. What's mine is mine. And what you've done is felony identity theft. The bank is already notified. The gasp was genuine this time. You wouldn't. The police report from your little welfare check is already filed. This will make a lovely addition to the file. Goodbye, Mother. I ended the call. Saved the file. Cynthia_Vance_admission_ May 19.mp3. The digital proof felt heavier than any diploma. The next week was a blur of grim, satisfying action. I filed reports with the FTC, placed a hard freeze on my credit with all 3 bureaus, and spent hours on the phone with Pacific Crest Bank's fraud department. I was polite, precise, and relentless. I faxed, I emailed, I certified mailed. I built a paper fortress around myself. The banker assigned to my case, a man named David with a patient voice, finally said, Miss Vance, we have enough. The application signature doesn't match the one on your driver's license copy. The IP address for the online account management traces to Bellevue. We're escalating. What does that mean? I asked. It means we will be verifying the disputed transactions. If they are indeed fraudulent, and the cosigner cannot provide proof of your authorization, she will be held liable for full repayment, and the matter may be referred for prosecution. I thanked him. I didn't smile. Justice, I was learning, was a cold, administrative process. I knew I had to see them. To say the words to their faces, not just into a phone or a form. I chose a public place, a crowded, noisy diner near the waterfront, all clattering plates and shouting cooks. Neutral territory. They couldn't make a scene here. Or so I thought. They arrived as a unit. My mother, Cynthia, leading the charge in a cream-colored sheath dress, her blonde hair a perfect helmet. My father, Richard, a step behind, his shoulders permanently rounded from a lifetime of ducking verbal shrapnel. And Liam, my brother, 17 and already imbued with the unshakable confidence of the perpetually indulged. He was glued to his phone, a sleek new model I suspected was on my tab. Juliet, this is ridiculous, my mother began, sliding into the booth without a hello. Dragging us down here. We have plans for Liam's pre-trip dinner. This won't take long, I said. My voice didn't waver. I slid the folder across the Formica table. It contained printouts of the credit card statements, the FTC affidavit, and a screenshot of the voice recording file. My father peered at it. What's this now? This is the $8,742 you stole from me, I said, looking directly at my mother. Using my name. Her composure flickered. Stole? What a vile thing to say. We borrowed. For family. For your brother's future. My name isn't a cosigner for Liam's future. The words burst out of me, louder than I intended. A few heads turned. My future is the one I worked for. The one you couldn't even be bothered to show up for. Liam finally looked up, annoyed. God, Jules, relax. It's just money. I'll pay you back when I'm a pro surfer. He grinned, a perfect, vacuous smile. I turned to him. The golden child. The sun around which our family's planets tragically revolved. The down payment on that surfboard? The one you posted about last week? That was on the card too, Liam. You danced on my credit score. His smile faded, replaced by a petulant confusion. Mom said you were cool with it. Your mother, I said, each word a block of ice, is a liar and a thief. The air left the booth. My father put his head in his hands. Juliet, please. Can't we handle this privately? We'll pay it back. Your mother, she gets carried away. The trip is already booked. The kids are expecting Liam. No, I said, gathering the folder. It's not private. It's with the bank. It's with the FTC. The charges are being investigated. The trip, I looked at Liam, is about to get very, very public. My mother's eyes were chips of flint. If you do this, you are dead to me. You will have no family. I stood up, throwing a 20 on the table for the coffee I hadn't drunk. I haven't had a family for a long time, Cynthia. I just finally stopped paying for the illusion of one. I walked out, the diner's noise swallowing me whole. The salt-tinged air of the waterfront hit me, and for a moment I swayed, the adrenaline draining away to leave a hollow, trembling exhaustion. But beneath the exhaustion, like a bedrock, was a solid, unshakable certainty. I was right. The night of Liam's Bon Voyage party arrived. It was being held at a trendy, adventure-themed venue in Ballard, all fake rock walls and projected images of jungles. I wasn't there, of course. But I knew. David from the bank had called me that afternoon, his tone professionally neutral. Miss Vance, as part of our investigation, we've coordinated with the venue and local authorities to verify the disputed charges for tonight's event. Officers will be attending to document. You are not required to be present, but we are legally notifying you. So I sat home. I didn't put on the news. I didn't scroll social media. I took a bath. I read a book. I tried to be the calm in the center of the storm I had set in motion. My phone began to blow up at 9:17 p.m. First, a text from Liam. WTF, Jules? Cops are here. They're talking to Mom. Everyone is filming. You're a psycho. Then, a cascade from unknown numbers, probably friends of his or relatives. How could you ruin his night? You've shamed the whole family. Call your mother right now. And then, finally, a call from my father. His voice was a broken rasp. Juliet, they came. They took copies of everything. The contract, the receipts. They said your name, the bank's name, in front of everyone. Your mother she's locked herself in the bathroom. Liam is hysterical. The party, it's over. Are you happy now? I took a deep breath. No, Dad. I'm not happy. I'm just not paying for it anymore. I hung up. I imagined the scene. The pulsing music cutting out. The blue and red lights washing over the fake palm trees, not from the dance floor, but from the quiet, dignified police cruisers parked outside. 2 officers walking in, not with guns drawn, but with clipboards. The banker, David perhaps, in a somber suit, pointing out the contract to my mother. Her perfect facade crumbling under the cool, impersonal gaze of the law. The whispers. The phones held aloft, capturing her humiliation, transmuting it into content. Liam's shining moment, the send-off for his adventure of a lifetime, becoming the backdrop for his mother's financial crime. The social death of Cynthia Vance in her cream-colored dress. I felt no triumph. Only a vast, echoing sadness for the family we could have been, and a weary relief that the performance was finally over. The fallout was swift and thorough. In the airtight world of suburban Bellevue, scandal is a currency, and my mother was suddenly bankrupt. The YouTube videos, though blurry and shaky, were damning. Karen gets busted at son's party, one was titled. It had 400,000 views. The bank moved quickly. Faced with criminal prosecution, Cynthia Vance admitted to unauthorized use and entered into a brutal repayment plan. My father had to take a second mortgage on the house. Liam's trip was canceled. The surfboard was repossessed. I received a formal letter from Pacific Crest Bank. The fraudulent accounts have been closed and removed from your credit history. The responsible party has assumed all liability. That was it. No apology from her. None from him. Liam sent one final text, I hate you. I hope you die alone. He probably would get his wish about the alone part for a while. But alone wasn't the same as lonely. I knew the difference now. 6 months later, autumn painted Seattle in shades of copper and fire. I had accepted a research position at the Harborview Medical Center's neurology lab. The work was challenging, the people were kind, and they valued my mind, not my compliance. My new apartment was bigger, with a view of the Misty Sound. On my wall, I'd hung a small gallery, my master's diploma. The official letter from the bank stating my credit was cleared and the fraud resolved. And the old, tarnished lock from my first apartment, now mounted on a plaque a friend had made for me. It was silly, but it was my trophy. One evening, as a soft rain blurred my window, my phone buzzed. An email. The sender line made my breath catch. Richard Vance. Juliet. I'm writing this from a hotel. Your mother and I are separating. I should have done it years ago. I should have stopped her. I should have seen you. I was a coward. I am so deeply sorry for every graduation I missed, for every time I let her turn you into a resource instead of a daughter. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know that I see you now. I'm proud of you. And I am so sorry. Dad. I read it 3 times. The tears that came weren't the hot, desperate tears of the girl who waited by the phone. They were quiet, slow, and they carried a piece of the old ache out with them. I didn't write back. Not yet. Some wounds need to scab over in silence before you can touch them. I made a cup of tea, opened the window to let in the cold, clean smell of rain and pine. The city lights shimmered through the downpour, indifferent and beautiful. The silence in my apartment was complete. It wasn't the silence of abandonment. It was the silence of a door gently closed, of a boundary finally, peacefully respected. It was the sound of my own life, uninterrupted, stretching out before me. And for the first time, the quiet didn't just not hurt, it held me. It was the sound of the lock, turning softly in the door, keeping the storm out and letting me, finally, be.